I mean, now we have the satanic temple that's rising up and they're building statues and they're coming out of the shadows. And that's the whole point, is that this is real. Maybe 15 years ago they were still hiding and maybe not that public, but they're coming out now very public. As Angelique said, we're bringing this fight to the doorstep of the church. Now, whether you want to or not, we're bringing the fight. So maybe it wasn't a big deal, but today it is. 7 Days with the Witch. It's a great story about woman's life in witchcraft, but along the way, she shared a lot of information with me that you're not going to find from anybody else but an insider. All of this is backed by the Bible. We need to get this book out. We just
print. We started a Kickstarter campaign. This is a way for you to pre-order the book while helping us offset the cost of printing. And you can get in on politics, but you know this stuff doesn't go away. Just when you thought it was safe, well, here it is. When your poll shows this, that even though many evangelical voters went to the polls for Donald Trump, and they did. They did, by the way. We discussed this, that last time the elections were handed to Obama because the evangelicals stayed home because Mitt Romney was a Mormon. So we voted for the Christian, the Christian Obama. He was the Christian. That Romney, he was no good. But Obama, he was a Christian, so we voted for him, or we just didn't vote at all. But they didn't do that this time. We didn't do that this time. I love this. Not this time. Christians, 58% to 39% voted Trump over Hillary. Catholics, 52% to 46% voted Trump over Hillary. Now, Hispanic Catholics, and I didn't know that this had to be separated. We talk about wanting to not separate things, but it is separated. Hispanic Catholics, somehow that's different. They voted 67% to 26% Hillary over Trump because they don't want to end up back over the border, I guess. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm a little unclear on this one because if you're here legally as a Hispanic anything, I mean, whatever. I don't understand, but that's okay. 67% to 26% Hillary over Trump. The Jewish community voted 71% Hillary over Trump. But the real turn were the evangelicals that came out because they make up over 50% of the voting bloc for the Republicans anyway. And even though they voted for Trump, though, this is my point, they gave him a thumbs down for the way he handled this election. And this really says a lot to me here. And can I say this is me? You know, I try to be very transparent on these programs. And I totally agree with this assessment here. I didn't like the way that he handled the election process. I didn't like it. I'm just talking about certain character traits, I guess. And, you know, I expect a little bit more from someone who's running for president in the way that they conduct themselves and some of the things that they say. But the post-election survey by Pew Research Center shows overall voters' grades for the way that Trump conducted himself during the campaign are the lowest for any victorious candidate in 28 years. I think a lot of Christians or evangelicals, that's what we have to be called, evangelicals, struggle to support him because of the primaries. I think the way that he attacked people in the primaries, and I'm not talking about leaked audio tapes or anything like that, but for myself here, I'm going to tell you that I would hope everyone feels this way. I wouldn't want any leaked audio to come out of my past. You know, I wouldn't want anybody to, you know, I said I did all kinds of things that I certainly would not I don't want anybody in the world to know about. And if there's cameras and audio following me around, I wouldn't want that. So I hope that everybody can look in the mirror and realize that about themselves. And he asked for forgiveness. But he did say, and he did do a bunch of stuff that stuck with people in the tweets. And he does really good at, he does really good at speaking. And then it seems like he just has to go one sentence too far. You know, he just has to go one sentence too far. And obviously this stuck with people in this particular survey is they didn't like the way he conducted himself during the primaries. They didn't like how he handled it. But again, what I love about this, though, what I love about hearing this is because he won, right? And it says that these are people that voted for him, but they're still giving him a thumbs down. I kind of like this whole deal. I know it sounds like a negative, and it's not.
In the past year, and he's not even president yet.
Fed up with the way that things are going, and I love that. I love that we were willing. There we go. Getting the video fixed there. But I love this because he's making changes. He's not even in the White House. He's already done more for the economy than Obama's done in 8 years. The man, he isn't even president yet. We're going to talk about this. Christianity Today breaks it down further, reporting that more than a quarter of white evangelical voters who helped Trump win the election gave the president-elect a failing grade of a D or an F. Now, again, remember, this is on how he handled the elections. Don't mistake this grade to be how we think that he's going to lead the country. Don't think that this is a grade on his policies or cabinet picks. This is strictly talking about how he conducted himself during the debates to get to where he is today, the primaries, during the campaign. Not policies offered or promises made, but I agree with this. And again, I have no problem, and actually I welcome straight talk from a politician, finally, from a political candidate. I love that we're actually getting some straight talk from this guy. I don't mind that, but some of it was ridiculous. Attacking a candidate's looks. I mean, okay, right? Some of the smear tactics and stuff like that, I really didn't have any use for that. 1 out of 5, 20% of those white evangelicals gave Trump an A, while almost a third, 31%, gave him a B. Although evangelicals were more satisfied with Donald Trump than other groups, half of them gave Trump a C or lower, and 18% gave him an F. Those are not exactly good grades, Amy Black, professor of political science at Wheaton College, told Christianity Today. More broadly, voters' views of the way that the winning candidate, the parties, the press, and the pollsters conducted themselves during the campaign are all far more negative than any other election dating back to 1988. And that's when the only reason it goes to 98 is because that's when they actually started this Pew research. So it's the worst ever. The way that all of this went down was just the worst ever. I think we can agree that we're all very happy this is over. Still, most voters, including evangelicals, are willing to give Trump a chance. And here's the real issue. What does this say about the other candidate? I'm sorry, but I have to say this with a smile. Because when I see that how horrible we're grading Trump, and yet we still voted for him over you, that tells me a lot right there. That tells me a lot. But what does this say about the other candidate in the current political structure of today? We had a stage full of men and one woman who all had more political experience than Trump. They know the ins and outs of politics. We didn't want them. We didn't want them. Even with Trump acting a fool sometimes, and he did, we still wanted that over any of the others on that stage, and absolutely needed that over Hillary Clinton all day long. And this says that even with all the negative, most voters, including evangelicals, are willing to try anything different. Trump got in on a country that was very frustrated, very angered by the current administration, and, knew that we couldn't tolerate 4 more years of the same stuff behind a different face. Virtually all of Trump's supporters, 97%, say they expect Trump's first term to be successful. I agree. A smaller but still overwhelming majority of Clinton supporters, 76%, say Trump will be unsuccessful. Of course they do. But I love this. 76% of them say he will fail. Clinton supporters. They say he will fail. But check this out. I love this. Because he's already doing exactly what he said that he would do.
For one, look at the stock market. Since Trump was elected, the Dow is up 5% for November, second best since 2009. The S&P and the 500 up 3.7% and all on track to finish out today as the best month that they've had. The small cap Russell has gained 11% since the elections. Bonds are up. And now how about the Ford Motor Company? They said, we're here to stay. They said they were going to move to Mexico. They were going to open a $2.5 billion expansion in Mexico. And now they came out and said, we are here to stay, President Trump. We're here to stay. Today, Carrier Air Conditioning Company, who announced last February that they were closing down and moving to Mexico, Trump and Pence spent their Thanksgiving meeting with them over the holiday, and now they're staying here as well. They came out today and said that we're staying here as well, saving all those jobs, and the man isn't even president yet. Where was Obama? He's out playing golf instead of talking to these guys, trying to convince them to stay and help them. Not willing to bend or help these guys. I mean, how can this man just walk in as a non-political candidate? A year ago, nobody was listening to Trump about the economy. How can he walk in and talk to these companies and have them stay? Where was our president? Where's he been this whole time? Why hasn't he been meeting with these people? Why couldn't he do this? Oh, it's because he doesn't care. This guy is out. So all these Clinton supporters who bought into the lies and the false smears, MSNBC, CNN, NBC, CBS, 76% of you say he will fail. Well, guess what? Don't hold your breath. But here's the thing I see. We're so ready for change that we're willing to accept a candidate that acts like this, but still says the things that we need to hear. So the thing is, and this is a big deal because I think those same people, myself included, are going to be very unforgiving for of Trump if he somehow fails to uphold what he's promised. I mean, now this man really has stuck his neck out, I think, because he has promised us the moon. If he fails to deliver, I think he will suffer horribly. Because these people, I mean, they stuck their necks out. They were willing to vote for a guy that maybe we didn't like about half the stuff he said and did personally. But as a candidate, we voted for the guy off of policy and promises, and we were willing to stick our neck out for our party platform. But by God, you better do what it is that you said, or Trump will suffer backlash like no other president ever. But I got to say, he's already working. And that's what this man does. This man works. He works. He won't be out playing 500 rounds of golf while you struggle to keep the lights on. He won't be running around all the talk shows while men die overseas. You remember that's what our president did the day after the Benghazi. He couldn't miss that meeting with Ellen. By God, got to be on Ellen. Men are dying, but I got to be on Ellen. You won't get that with President Trump. He works. He works all the time. That's why he's very, very successful. He's really set himself up, though, and we need to pray that he will, because here's the thing. He has set himself up. He has stuck his neck out and said, I'm going to do all of this stuff, and it's unicorns, and it's rainbows, and it's awesome. We've got to pray that he's going to be able to carry out those promises. We need to continue to pray for those that surround him. We need to continue to pray for the House. We need to pray for the Senate, because we need a lot of this stuff to go through and fix something. A majority of Clinton voters, 58%, say they are willing to give Trump a chance. Thank you. Thank you so much. They're willing to give Trump a chance, see how he governs as president. But 4 in 10, 39% say they can't see themselves giving Trump a chance because of the kind of person that he has shown himself to be. Guess what? You're going to have to give him a chance anyway because he's your president. Well, it's going to be a very long 4 years for you. Meanwhile, many voters are angry at the two major political parties for this election, and I agree. A lot of that was really ridiculous, the way that things were handled. Even when Trump did come out and he was winning, you remember there was that little bit of time there where the Republicans were saying we're not going to back him. Now, that made a lot of people mad. And I think it's pretty amazing to see that some of these governor races, Senate races, where they came out and said, the Republicans came out and said, I'm not standing with Trump. They lost. They got their tails whipped. That's what you get. Only about a quarter of voters give an A or a B to the Republican Party, 22%, and the Democratic Party, 26%. About 3 in 10 give the parties an F, 30% for the Republican Party, 28% for the Democratic Party. By far the highest share giving the parties failing grades since this Pew series of surveys began in 1988. Voters also gave abysmal grades to news media. Just 22% give the press a grade of an A. That's too high, Jay. 22% is too high. That's too high. 22% gave an A or a B. That's too high. Well, I don't know what they were watching. I can't even watch it now. I don't know what to believe. If they told me it was daytime outside right now, I'd have to check for myself. It's conspiracy. Jay says it's conspiracy. 38% give it a failing grade. I agree with that one for sure. About 4 in 10 voters, 39% say the press was too tough in the way it covered Trump's campaign, which I would have agreed on that topic, that Trump was covered harshly, except that he continued to never miss a chance to say some really dumb things. I mean, he just kind of played in it sometimes, or the 3 o'clock in the morning tweets. I mean, they were so unfair and harsh, and yet he gave some validity to it because of some of the things that he said and did. I mean, I wanted him to just stand back and not say anything so they could really look like the fools that they were. But then sometimes he'd step in it. He'd come out and say some crazy things. He could have come out looking and sounding so much better if he just would have not said any. I mean, I'm talking about myself. A fool seems wise when he keeps his mouth shut. I mean, sometimes you gotta pick which fights to go after, you know. But he can't. He can't. And you know what? That's what some of the people love about Trump, though. He won't let a lot of those little things go like a lot of others will, which makes him more of a personable person, right? He's not the stately president that's just going to give you the scripted something. He's not going to do it. And so in a way, I kind of respect that. I really do. But he could have came out looking better, but he can't. He just has to tweet something or you know, some stuff will appear. He gave him all kinds of ammo to use against him. And but they were very harsh at times, very unfair, going after his wife. Now we got people talking about his son, his youngest son, the boy. I mean, come on, people. But I do agree. They were very unfair. They were very tainted, very biased. Very biased. Overall, voters were more likely to say the press was too easy on Clinton. Again, absolutely the truth right there. And we know this because they refused to address the real issues with her. Leaked emails that show beyond a shadow of a doubt that she's involved in illegal activity, softball interviews, covering up her illness. 45% said she was treated with kid gloves. 21% say it was too tough on her. Who was? Oh, that time that she was on Fox? Oh, wait, she never was. What do you guys think? What grade would you give the president-elect on how he conducted himself during the campaign? Well, and was the media too hard on Hillary? Let us know what you think today. Contact me today. Email me, Don@TwoGuysAndABible.com. Get in the chat. Get on the live video stream. Post it in the comments there on YouTube Live, Facebook Live. Tell me what you think today, and tell me this. What's your favorite? Jay just blew me away with his turkey. And when I say turkey and dressing, I'm talking about stuffing, but he's talking about pouring actual salad dressings on his turkey. What do you guys do with your turkey leftovers? Let me know. Send that to me today. I want to know because we've got a bunch of them left and I need to figure out what to do with it before I have to eat it again for Christmas coming up. What about this recount? Am I missing something here, Democrats? Oh, maybe not any in this room. Am I missing something here? Because didn't we spend about 5 days bashing Trump, calling him out? He is a threat to democracy. Democracy is being threatened by Trump. The country will go into civil war if Trump just does not accept the final count and the outcome of the elections. He has to concede. Mr. Trump, you have to concede. He has to. Don't you guys remember that last debate? Remember, Democrats? You have nothing to stand on this one. Hypocrites. Hypocrites. If you are applauding the recount votes, you are a hypocrite. The results of the 2016 elections have put the shoe on the other foot, haven't they? And you don't like the way it fits. Get over it. This is a waste of time and it is a waste of money. Do we remember when Trump was asked during the final presidential debate if he would honor the results of the election if he lost? Clinton said the notion of a recount, and I quote, is horrifying. She said this is horrifying. By the way, he still won after the recount. So what's next? Where do they go next? This recount could cost Michigan taxpayers $1 million. Well, Jill Stein's paying. She's paying part of it. It's costing taxpayers $1 million in Michigan. This is coming from Jill Stein, who took less than 1% of the votes there. She's bought. There is no reason for her to do this. She is bought. She is scamming money off of this thing. She got 1% of the vote. She obviously understands a recount isn't going to help her. She's bought. Wisconsin recount is coming in at $3.5 million. And now the Clinton campaign jumps in. Fools. Why would you do this? This woman doesn't get it, does she? Hillary was just handed an early Christmas gift. And if you would just go away, we were going to forget about the scandals. We were going to forget about the Clinton cash, the pay for play, Benghazi, lies, affairs, illegal activities, ties to the Muslims. We would be willing to move on and heal and forget it, but she just can't do it. She's like a rash. It just keeps coming back and irritating me. She keeps poking Trump, and I think we all know you don't do that. This guy wins. I'm not saying this because I even love the guy. He wins. Everything that this guy says that he's going to do, he does it. Do people not see that? I don't know how he does it. I think the deal is he already knows that he's able to do it. And so he doesn't say things that he can't do. So he throws out things that he absolutely knows he can do before he throws it out there. I don't think he sets himself up for failure. You don't mess with this guy. He's going to do what it is that he says that he's going to do. And here's the thing, and I think we all know, he can open up these cases in a heartbeat, and he may. And I hope he does. Now, understand this. He can't personally do that, but even after he's president, he cannot personally go after an individual because that's illegal as the president of the United States. And of course, before that time, he's not even the president yet. He's still just Donald Trump, president-elect at this time, and has no power. But here's the thing. Many in the incoming administration are saying that if she wants to push it, they will open that case back up because the FBI does have the right to do so. And the new Department of Justice has the right to do so. And it won't be tainted by the FBI director this time. And the Department of Justice won't be able to meet with your husband out on the tarmac this time in a private meeting talking about puppies and grandchildren to save your tail. This is coming from the administration, not Trump personally. She should probably take her billions and go hide somewhere, but I bet she doesn't. She's too power hungry. I can't figure out what else this woman thinks that she needs. I can't figure it out. What else does she need? More money than she's ever going to spend, more connections than any other person that I know of, probably could go anywhere in the world and somebody would take her in, right? And applaud her and lift her. They love Bill Clinton overseas. They love that guy. So what is it? It's got to be some sick, power-hungry deal here because she needs nothing else. If you were to say, who are some of the most powerful women in the world, I would think she would make the top 5. I don't like her, but I'm just saying, if you were to talk about powerful women, the influence they have, she's got to be up there somewhere. I mean, we got the Queen Elizabeth, and we've got, Michelle Obama, and we've got all these other, but I think she would be somewhere in that list somewhere. What more does she want? Speaking of power hungry, you and I were just handed an early Christmas gift this morning. Michelle Obama announced that she will not seek the presidency in the next election cycle. Oh, you guys didn't know that was an option? They were starting to vet her and get her ready to run for the president next round. Michelle Obama. Because, we all know she's qualified because she's the wife of a president. That qualifies you. Hey, you know what? I am qualified to play in a band because I can turn my radio on. This doesn't even make sense to me, but hey, she's not going to do it. Thank you for that. I've had my fill of those two, and I'm ready to see them ride off into the sunset and go play golf somewhere. Let me go on record here and saying this. You watch. This is me going on record. This is not prophetic. This is not a thus saith the Lord. This is a thus saith Donnie Allen Jr. right here on the 1412 radio network. Obama will run for the Secretary General of the United Nations. You watch. You watch. He's going to run. He didn't want to be president of the United States necessarily. This was all a stepping stone. You guys remember the apology tour that he took? This is why he took it. This man's going to run as the Secretary General of the United Nations. And then what he's going to do is he's going to come after the United States. You watch. He's going to come after him. That's my take. This is going to lead to Trump pulling out of the UN. And that's exactly what Obama wants, because he wants to attack the United States. You watch. You watch. I'm going on record saying it right there, sticking my neck out. That's what I think is going to happen. Well, President-elect Trump has laid out quite a plan for his first 100 days, and we certainly would love to see much of this go into action. Term limits on members of Congress, hiring freeze on federal employees. Now, he's not talking about military or some of those things, but he is going to put a hiring freeze on federal employees. For every new federal regulation, we have to get rid of 2 old ones. I love that one. We're definitely over-regulated. He will renegotiate NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, and he will pull out of TPP. He will lift restrictions on the production of $50 trillion worth of job-producing American energy services in shale, oil, and natural gas. Now, I just heard they had a huge discovery in Texas, like 100 billion barrels of oil they just found. So he's going to open this up. I used to work in the oil fields. I used to work in natural gas. This is going to make America prosperous again. That alone will make America prosperous again. I can't even imagine how many jobs that's going to create. But think about this. For one, it will definitely create all kinds of high-paying jobs with benefits. I know that because I was there. I was blown away at the benefits I got day one walking in. I told them I don't even know how to change the oil on my car. You know, I didn't know anything about the industry, and yet I was able to walk into a high-paying job because they need some bodies and full benefits. I mean, it's an amazing deal because there's a lot of money in that, as we know. But check this out. So people are going to get high-paying jobs here. And here's the other thing. It's going to free us up from spending money to buy from nations that don't even like us anyway, buying their oil. They don't even like us. We're going to cancel billions of dollars in payments to the UN climate change. That's a false agenda. Friends, can I tell you, God made this earth to sustain us until this thing is over. So don't worry about the polar bears and the polar ice caps. We're going to be okay. Greenhouse effect and all this stuff. I understand we need to be wise. You know, that we can't abuse what it is that we have. God made this earth to sustain. It's not going to just blow up and disappear because somebody broke out an old can of spray paint. Okay? It's not going to happen because your car is not running off of flex fuel. All right? It's not going to happen. God made the earth to sustain us until this thing is over. So you can relax, take a deep breath. He's going to undo all the executive actions Obama and his pen and phone made. I think that's huge. Remember, I've got a pen and I got a phone. Well, he's going to undo all that. At least all the unconstitutional ones. I'm not sure what else Obama did. There was probably some good ones in there, but overall, he did a bunch of things that he should not have done. And so those are going to be undone on the first 100 days. He will begin to look at who is going to be the next Supreme Court justice. That's big. That's huge. We're going to stop all funding to sanctuary cities, which is already going into effect. His people that he's putting in cabinet positions are already contacting, before he even gets into office, they're already contacting the mayors and some of these people of sanctuary cities and telling them, you're going to stop doing it or we will cut all funding. Now they're trying to spin it back on him and say, oh, you're going to hurt our social, programs and all. No. You have the decision. Stop harboring illegals, what part of that don't we understand? We say illegal alien like it's just a title. Illegal. That means not legal. Illegal. Illegal. Well, we got a bunch of mayors saying that they won't comply. I bet you will. I bet you will. You don't get to harbor illegals. I think that word means something. I say send them through the process like everybody else and make them legal. What's the problem? I would not expect to go overseas somewhere and them just say, well, come on in. It's okay. I think I have to go through a process. And I have no problem with that. Not at all. He said we're going to suspend the refugee program. And we may talk a little bit about that. But there's a bunch he's going to do. Go check out his 100-day plan. Tax relief, offshore drilling, schools. Common Core is out. Common Core is out. He hired a Christian woman onto the cabinet to run that deal. She's against Common Core. And I can tell you, just from my kids being in public school, and we're way behind on Common Core here as far as implementing it. But Obama came in and pressured our school and saying, we will pull all of that funding unless you take it. But it's your decision. Well, they took it, but they've been implementing it very, very slowly here. Just enough to get by. But even the little bit that I've seen is ridiculous. And we're really sheltered here. So I thank God that that's going to disappear. I think there's something way better than, I'm sitting here looking at Jay. Jay, did you do any Common Core stuff growing up? Tried not to. This man's very intelligent. He's running everything behind the scenes here, and he didn't have to use Common Core to do it. This is my point. Don't tell me we need Common Core so that we can have productive citizens. Jay's sitting over here, one of the smartest men that I know, and he didn't have Common Core, right? Dion's sitting over here. Dion, you making it? Everything okay? Any Common Core? No Common Core. Basics, yeah, the basics of work. 2 + 2, still 4. Yeah. How about immigration? It's been placed back into the spotlight again with the Ohio State attacker. This is terrible. Ohio State University. Student was shot by police Monday after driving his car into pedestrians and then slashing people with a butcher's knife. Did anyone else see what the failed vice presidential hopeful Tim Kaine said? Thank God this man is not going to be our vice president. This is one of the most simple things that you could do. And I don't know if anybody else saw this. I'm sure you did. This guy, all about pushing his agenda. It's all about his agenda. This guy can't even harbor the facts before he jumps right out there and tries to push his failed agenda. This man drove a car into people and used a knife to attack people. No guns, no shots fired. But hey, Democrats don't let the facts stand in the way of their statements. Tim Kaine comes out and says in a tweet, deeply saddened, and I'm sure he really is, deeply saddened by the senseless act of gun violence at Ohio State this morning. Pray for the injured and the entire Buckeye community. No guns, Timmy. There were no guns. Nice try. No guns. It was a knife. And he acted it out. I mean, listen, this was a man who acted out this. It's the very people that you and Hillary want to let into the country. Now, he was a legal citizen, but he had been radicalized because guess what? This is what Trump's been trying to say. We have to look at where these people are coming from. He came from a place that does not like the United States. I've been in Ethiopia. Somalia is right next to Ethiopia. They want to kill every single Christian in Ethiopia. They hate Christians. Somalia hates Christians, hates them, wants to murder them. This is where that guy came from. Think it affected him some? I understand he passed all their so stringent tests to be here. He came from a terrorist state. They don't like the United States because we're Christians. And Trump is saying that even though we let him in, we have to begin to vet these people better who are coming from terrorist states. We have to look what happened because we wanted to be politically correct. People got hurt. 11 people hurt. He is a Somali immigrant, a devout Muslim. Wait. What's that got to do with anything? That's just racist. Because that's what the news media said, that he's a devout Muslim. Well, what's that got to do with it? It's got everything to do with it. It's got everything to do with it. How dare we say anything about his religion? Islam is a religion of peace. Being Muslim means I'm a nice guy, right? Because the ones we have to worry about are those Christians who cling to their religion and their guns. Isn't that what President Obama said? We're the ones that are the terrorists. He said right-winged extremists are a bigger threat to America than ISIS. You remember ISIS, the JV team? He said they're the JV team. He didn't lose any sleep over it. He went to go see Ellen. He went to go see Ellen and dance. He wanted to dance on TV. I appreciate that. Obama went back at the National Day of Prayer, the National Day of Prayer of all places. He goes back and says, lest we get on our high horse and think that Islam is a problem, don't forget the terrible deeds that were done in the name of Christ and Jim Crow and Jesus. What? Again, let's not let the facts get in the way of our deal here. Our president-elect is suggesting that we ban anyone from coming into the United States from a Muslim country, period. Well, that's just un-American. Is it? Is it? Because again, let's not let a little thing like facts get in the way. We sure don't want to offend any Muslims, but nobody's crying Jesus is Lord when these acts are being carried out. Nobody's saying Buddha rules when they're doing this. It's not even the Buddhists. When was the last time a Christian killed their family members for not tithing? I know some pastors that want to, but when's the last time it's happened? What book does the Christian religion have that says kill everybody that doesn't agree with your belief? Because they have one. We don't. 9/11 was Muslims. 2002, Muslim sniper Lee Boyd Malcolm and John Muhammad killed 21 people here in the United States, Muslims. 2003, Muslim son of the Saudi millionaire almost decapitates a Jewish woman in Texas. Almost cuts her head totally off. Why? Because she's Jewish. 2003, a Jewish man is admitted into the hospital under the care of a Muslim doctor who refused to treat the man, and he died because he was a Jew. Because he was Jewish and he was Muslim, and the doctor left him in there and didn't let anybody go in there, and the man died of something that was absolutely treatable when caught. You want to take that chance if you go to the hospital with your kids? Your Christian faith is going to keep you from getting treatment. 2004, a Muslim man commits an honor killing of his wife and attacked his 22-year-old and 4-year-old daughters with a knife because he said a doctor looked at his 4-year-old's private parts, thus causing her to be tainted. So let's kill them. 2005, Somali immigrant slashes 30 people at a retirement home. 2006, a Muslim bent on avenging the death of Muslims worldwide ran over 9 people at the University of North Carolina. 2006, a Jewish man is shot in a movie theater for being a Jew by a Muslim man. 2006, a 22-year-old shoots 4 co-workers and a police officer because it was Allah's choice, he said. 2006, Muslim man killed 1 woman, shot 6 others at the Jewish Center, and used a 14-year-old girl for a human shield. 2008, Muslim man kills 2 daughters because they dated non-Muslim men. My kids think I'm harsh. 2009, Muslim man strangles his daughter to death because she refused to marry who he picked for her. This is in the United States, people. 2009, Muslim man beheads his wife and said, I feel an incredible relief because she wanted to divorce me. But you can't do that because they're Muslim. You don't get a divorce. So, but he can cut her head off. 2009, a man killed his brother-in-law for going to a strip club because Allah would not be pleased. Well, I agree. Allah probably wouldn't be pleased, but wow. 2009, Muslim man opened fire on a recruiting station in Arkansas, killing 1 man and wounding another, and said he planned on killing as many soldiers as he could and was given that assignment from overseas. They sent that to him. 2009, Muslim man runs over his daughter, killing her because she became too westernized. She was wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt. That ain't going to work. 2009, Muslim man in our own army kills 13 people and wounds 30 others at Fort Hood. 2009, Muslim man kills his professor at school. 2010, Muslim man gets mad because family will not convert, kills his mother-in-law, mother, pregnant wife, and the baby, infant son, and 2 nieces because they wouldn't convert. 2011, Muslim man shot his stepfather for not adhering to Islam. 2011, 3 Jewish men had their throats slit by 2 Muslim Boston bomber brothers. You remember them? They killed some people before they did the bombing. 2012, Muslim men shot and killed a girl who became born again along with her father and son-in-law. 2013, Muslim man shot and beheaded 2 men because the Quran instructed him to do so. 2013, a man walked into a church and shot his own father to death because it was Allah's will. 2013, Boston bombers, 2 Muslim brothers injured 264 people and killed 3. 2013, Muslim man walked into a hardware store and stabbed a man 17 times and would have killed the rest of the people if the police had not gotten there sooner. 2014, Muslim man and a sex offender, by the way, Muslim man and sex offender, killed his daughter and her lover for being gay because it's against their religion. Where are the Christians doing that? Because aren't we the ones that are so threatening to gays and lesbians? I thought it was us. I thought we were the ones that hated these people. I thought it was the Christians. I thought it was the Christians who were the ones to keep an eye on. Where are the reports of Christian honor killings and Christians killing gays because the Bible forbids it? Oh, wait, we love the hell out of them. We don't kill them. We love them. We love them. 2014, Muslim man killed 2 men, said he was just doing his small part for Islam. 2014, Muslim man beheads a woman in Oklahoma. 2015, 4 Marines shot dead by an Islamic man, Ohio State. I know what the news is trying to say. There are more killings in the U.S. by non-Muslims. Well, sure there are. But none of those are claiming that they're killing in the name of their God or religion. These people are. 11 students were hurt in the attack. OSU said in a statement, the injuries include stab wounds, injury by a motor vehicle, other injuries that are being evaluated, and the facts are still being verified. The attacker's been identified as a Somali immigrant He was a student at Ohio State University. Reports indicate that he was a devout Muslim, and he was angry about the way people of his faith were being treated. Well, you think? You go around doing crap like this, you think that we're all going to just say, hey, it's all good. We love you. Come on. According to sources, investigators are now focusing on a Facebook rant that they believe was posted by this man. It reads, I am sick and tired of seeing my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters being killed and tortured everywhere. I can't take it anymore. America, stop interfering with other countries. If you want us Muslims to stop carrying lone wolf attacks. Well, an officer, 28-year-old officer, is the one that fatally shot this man. Says it helped that the officer was in the right place at the right time. He was able to see the whole thing happen and take immediate action, an official said at the press conference Monday afternoon. Meanwhile, Ohio Governor John Kasich, you remember him, said in a statement, my thoughts are with the victims of this attack right now, and I pray for their safety and recovery. He also praised the first responders for handling of Monday's tragedy, and he went on to say how thankful he was there. And but you remember, this is from a guy who welcomed in Muslim refugees. Same guy. He's catching all kinds of trouble for that. So here's the things. These threats are real. They're from a real enemy. We now have a president-elect that looks to stop it. And I mention this because I've seen people I know personally trying to use the Christian card in welcoming these refugees into the country and trying to guilt people who oppose it. Well, it's not the Buddhist. It's not the Baptist. It's not the Catholics killing people. Come on, this is common sense until we can get this baby figured out how to vet these guys. This kid praised ex-Al-Qaeda leaders as heroes. ISIS put out a magazine stating that people should use vehicles and knives to carry out attacks. Hello, that's exactly what this kid did. And then he said in an article earlier that he was just looking for a place to pray openly and was worried about how he would be received because of everything going on in the media and how it portrays Muslims to be. Then he runs over people and cuts them up. He was blaming the media for their portrayal of Muslims. And then he goes out and does exactly what the media is saying that they do. Wake up, Christians. This isn't simply an attack on America. It's deeper than that. We better wake up. It's spiritual. This is more than being proud Americans, which I am. This is good versus evil. This is a nation that's under God against nations who follow the devil. Let's talk about this after the break. What can we do? Let's talk about this. This is the 1412 Live on the 1412 Radio Network. We will be right back.
Time to pay the bills. This is the 1412 Live.
I just met my dad for the first time in my life. And he takes me over to my Aunt Lana's house. And my Aunt Lana and my cousin Bart were the head of the covenant. My Aunt Lana, Bart, and my dad are black witches. They follow satanic beliefs. And she lit candles and told me to sit in the middle of the pentagram. And they start doing these incantations against me. I started to feel really strange. For a week first, the rush came over me, my head to my toes, and just pulled every piece of energy, every bit of my soul, every bit of my strength out of me.
Raised as a demonic porthole.
They ended up making a doll out of the blood they took from me, out of my hair, and pieces of my clothing that they took from me. I was a portal to call up Baal and Ashraf, and that's how they pulled them in to their realm, was through me.
To steal, kill, and destroy.
The damage had already been done. I felt like he was ripping me up, and I remember screaming and being in so much pain.
Read the true story of the High Witch of the Four Corners and her encounter with truth that made her free.
If you don't believe in God, you don't have God by your side, and I come with my witchcraft, I can overtake your free will because you're not protected by the blood of Jesus.
She risked it all to expose the enemy's plan and paid the ultimate price. 7 Days with Witch, a book by Don Allen.
Go to TwoGuysAndABible.com or Two Guys in the Bible Facebook page and follow the link, 7 Days with the Witch. This will lead you to the Kickstarter campaign where you can donate to help us offset the printing cost. While there, you will find special hardback book offers, behind-the-scenes DVDs, early access digital downloads, and a look into the second book, Binding a Strong Man.
We want to hear from you today. Questions or comments about today's show? Contact us by email, Don@TwoGuysAndABible.com.
All right, welcome back to the program. This is the 1412 Live on the 1412 Radio Network. I'm your host, Don Allen. Muslims against Christians, Islam in the United States, perilous times. The Bible talks about this, perilous times. What do we do? What can we do? As the people of God, I believe that we have a responsibility to do something about this. And I believe that we can. For far too long, the believers, those who claim to follow God, those that accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, we've sat back and we have become somewhat powerless. And we're not powerless. We're not powerless people. But Christianity does not hold, it doesn't hold the power that it used to have. We have the power, but overall, we're not viewed like we used to be. And I think we need to restore that. And we can. Those that claim to follow God, we've sat back and we've kind of allowed some things to happen. We've picked up the battle cry of tolerance and acceptance because, hey, God loves everybody. Well, sure he does. But Jesus was far from tolerant. There is one way to the Father, he says. Not many ways. He wasn't very tolerant. He loved people, but Jesus didn't put up with a lot of garbage. Not at all. So we've surrendered our power to the enemy. And this is still one nation under God, by the way. But all I see believers doing is fighting with each other. Some are hiding. Maybe some of them are mad. And some of you may be protesting. But I think that there's way more that we can do. I see a group of people who are supposed to rule and reign. We've been given power. And we've been given the authority to use it. And it would seem like we're cowering in the churches. Simply holding on, trying to survive, crying, "Come, Lord Jesus, come. Come." No. This nation was set up to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. We've been chosen to do that. With the technology and the money and the resources that we have, we are set up to spread the gospel like no other country. And we have. I think we've got to be one of the tops in doing that and sending out missionaries and doing things like that. I think we have. But friends, it doesn't always come easy. And I think that today's breed of believers really doesn't know anything about fighting for what you have, for standing up and fighting for what it is that you have. When I see that the Bible says that we are to put on the whole armor of God, when I see that it says that get your sword and get your shield, that prophesies a conflict to me. We should not be caught off guard here. This tells me that I'm going to need some armor. This tells me that there's going to be some threats against what it is that I'm doing. I need the sword. I need the shield. I see scriptures that say, fight the good fight of faith. Fight. And the people of God been trying to negotiate with the enemy. That's what it seems like the new thing is. We're just going to negotiate with the enemy. The enemy isn't Black Lives Matter. It's not other races. It's not the Muslims. It's not Islamic terrorists. It's not even those who believe differently than we do. We have one real enemy. In John 10:10, the thief does not come but to steal and to kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and they may have it more abundantly. The enemy takes on many forms, but in the end, it's him. It's always him. But he tries to distract us. He tries to distract us with who he works through. And we see these people groups and we focus on those. And I can see both sides of this because there are religions that welcome Jesus in and there's some that don't. We have an enemy, a real enemy who is seeking whom he may devour. We have a nation that's been divided, and it comes the way that it always comes, through an enemy who will grab the ear of the people and whisper lies to them. And people don't know how to take every thought captive, and we subject it, and we don't know how to subject it to the word of God, so we just run with it. My book, 7 Days with a Witch, talks about this very thing. And the Christians have not done a real good job in counteracting those lies. Instead, we try to negotiate with the enemy. There is a time when all negotiations break down with the enemy. Talk is off the table. It's time to fight. I'm tired of ministers and ministry standing in the front of people and talking about what they're going to do. What they're going to do. I spent 20 years of my life listening to the group that I was raised in talking about how it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Well, I finally asked, well, what is it? And when will it get here? I don't know, but it's coming. No, I'm coming. I'm coming, devil. I'm coming right now. I have it right now. I'm anointed right now. I have authority over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means harm me. When? Right now. It ain't coming. We're here. And guess what? They're not coming. They're here. It prophesies a conflict. We have authority over all the power of the enemy. Nothing shall by any means harm you. Our current day reality is one that has perilous times and real enemies who look to harm us. They look to overthrow the government. I feel like that the Democrats have tried to do that with an inside job. We have an enemy. They want to allow millions of people who come from a religious background that is absolutely opposite from Christian beliefs, and they're willing to kill for their beliefs. We cannot negotiate with these people. We cannot coexist with them. Sure. See, here's what we want to do. We want to believe that if we just get them here, then we can evangelize them and show them the way. Well, sure. I believe we can reach some of them, but I'm telling you, I'd rather take a missions trip to do it and not invite them over into my own country when I don't know if they want to kill me before I get to tell them about Jesus. They're being influenced by the devil, people. And here's the real issue, I suppose. It wouldn't be a problem to have all these people come in of other religions if we actually knew who we were and if we actually knew how to stand and do our jobs. If the Christian community was on top of its game, then I say bring them all over here because we could do it. But we're not. Churches slam the doors, lock them down, and we're just barely holding on. And we want all these people to come in here. We're going to lose if we do that because we're not on top of our game. There's a real trouble. There's division. There's racial issues and religious persecutions. I believe that there are some people listening today who are 2 Corinthians 10, 3-4 people. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God for the pulling down of strongholds. The world, and for that matter, the church as a whole, has allowed Goliath to stand out here for far too long. And now footholds have become strongholds. The last 8 years under the Obama regime has seen footholds become strongholds. Well, it's not that they can't be taken down, but guess what? We're going to have to show up for work, Christians. We're going to have to show up for work. We don't get to sit back and say, well, God's in control. Wasn't God in control on the day that the White House was lit up in gay pride colors? Wasn't God in control the day the president made gay marriage legal? Wasn't God in control the many times our president stood on national television and said, we're no longer a Christian nation? Well, listen to me. You don't get to stand back and talk like that if you haven't gotten into the fight. That's like complaining about the elections and you didn't vote. You don't have any skin in the game. No, listen, people like myself have to step in and go all extreme crazy now because we sat back and let everything happen for 8 years. And now we have generations addicted to drugs and porn and self-medicating, and the church isn't all that important. And I'll do what I want to do when I want to do it, if I want to do it at all. And not you or your God or any other public authority will tell me any different. And now we have this. We have people shooting each other over the color of their skin again. We're going back, like a dog to its vomit. We have cry-ins. Kids can't go to school because their candidate didn't get elected. We've got safe spaces, entitled brats, Black Lives Matter. And you're a racist if you think your life matters. And my bigger issue is this. I've not heard the church's response to this. This is my deal. I've not heard the church's response. Oh, I know what we do. I know what we do. We schedule a National Day of Prayer once a year. I don't hear about scheduling a National Day of Prayer outside of the scheduled one, where one day a year we can have the Christian Pope come in, Franklin Graham, that's the Christian Pope. He can come in and do something about this. 50-state tour, he's going to come in, he's going to fix it. Okay. I don't see pastors laying aside their sermons so we can come together and pray. Nope, let's keep talking about stepping it up a little more while the nation burns. Let's talk about being sure that we're at church every Sunday so we can have 3 songs and an offering. I mean, the most action and change the church has experienced in 8 years is now requiring you to bring your own offering up before everybody and pray over it yourselves and not pass the plate. That's our big change right there. Hey, we do it a little different than everybody else. No, everybody does that now. And we dim the lights when we do the music. You got to dim the lights. You got to dim the lights because we got to get the smoke machine going and the lights. Because it's not enough to just worship God anymore. Come on. We can't even get the body of Christ to unite under one cause. Christian leaders don't want to offend anybody with something like truth. Don't do that. So what do we do? What can be done? Because outside of the little church walls is a whole great big world that doesn't revolve around the next church dinner. Real life dangers, real life issues. There is a scripture that we can actually use more than one day a year for the National Day of Prayer. It's not just an event prayer. 2 Chronicles 7:14 is the truth every day. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven. I will forgive their sin and I will heal their land. See, we have made this into a departmentalized movement. Well, I mean, we got to have a national day of prayer once a year. Sure. Because here's what's funny. I mean, we had Franklin Graham come here in Missouri, and we had 6,000 to 10,000 people came to the Capitol. So what? Where's the 6,000 to 10,000 people every time we're at the Capitol? Every single Thursday night, we're at the same Capitol doing the same thing, and I'm lucky to get 15 people. Well, I understand it's Franklin Graham, and that's a little different. I understand that. I'm not talking about me and him personally. I'm talking about the 6,000 to 10,000 that wanted to show up on one day to do something. You think that that's going to get it done one day? I feel like Trump. Look at my hand going here. I got the Trump hand going. What did it change? What really took place on that tour? I'm asking, did I miss something? What really took place on the National Day of Prayer? I'm sure that it was great, and we pushed back the darkness that day. I think we become no better than the Pharisees and the doctors of the law who said, hey, it's the Sabbath. You can't do that here and you can't do that now. We got to find another time to do it. We got to set certain times that you come together and pray. Friends, do you understand the enemy has no schedules? He's a master of opportunities. He sees an opportunity and he moves. His crimes are crimes of opportunity, and we are giving him way too many opportunities to carry out his plan. We need to be sober and we need to be vigilant because our enemy is always seeking. I don't mind big prayer gatherings. That's great. But then what? We can't stop now. I'm appealing to you, the individual, minus the groups, minus the big header, minus all that stuff. Minus all of that stuff. When will we just get out as individuals and do something about this? No, we got to get together with the board members and the pastors and schedule something out on my calendar and see if I have enough money to pull it together and check everybody else's schedules. And we're being destroyed because we're Sabbath day saints. Got to be scheduled. Jesus came in and disrupted that order of business with real life encounters of Jesus Christ. And that's what this nation needs. Is just, and now again, I'm talking about the individual that's listening today. This nation is going to hell in a handbasket. We need individuals out there. We need you, the individual out there, giving people real life encounters with the real Jesus Christ. Not the religious one, not the movie one, not the one that other people are painting him to be. They need a real life encounter with Jesus the Christ. We have an opportunity to stand in our state capitol here in Missouri week after week. We hold meetings there. And you know what? I can count on one hand how many pastors have shown up to our capitol to be with us in 4 years that we've been there. In the 4 years that we've been there, there are thousands upon thousands of pastors. And I can count on one hand how many of them have come. We have an opportunity for anybody who ever wants to come to be here. And well, where are they at? You know, the high witch, Angelique, told me this. She said that an enemy of her enemy was her friend, meaning that, you know, we don't all exactly believe the same, but we're very united against God and the church. And we can't even get the churches together across the street from each other. Because of the pride of a few men who stand in the pulpits, they all got their own agendas disguised as, well, this is just how we believe here. And they don't believe like we do. I had a Holy Ghost tongue-talking, faith-filled pastor tell me that he didn't want to hook up with the church down the road who has a pastor that is exactly the same, spirit-filled, tongue-talking, faith-preaching. I don't want to hook up with them because they don't pray like we pray. They don't pray like we pray. And in reality, it was just that he wanted to be in charge of the prayer event and didn't want to go to theirs. So we suffer for those things because we won't come together because people have an agenda. We've got to get back to the agenda that Jesus had. Save that which is lost. That was the only agenda. And however that came through and however whatever they had to do to get that job done, that was always the top agenda. If my people will humble themselves, which means, guess what? You don't always get to be in charge of the event. It means it's not always going to be at your church. It doesn't mean that you always get to be in the spotlight. We have to humble ourselves because in the end, I want as many, the only thing we're going to take to heaven is people. That is the only thing we're going to take, and I want to take a whole bunch. I want to take a whole bunch with me. I want to take all of them with me. When are we going to lay all this stuff aside? Well, I can tell you that my hope in most of the pastors is shot. It's all gone. And again, I'm not talking about all of you. I travel all over the place, and I meet a bunch of good ones. but I've met a lot of bad ones. And what I mean by bad ones is they're just looking inward. They're not looking outward. They're not looking outward. I know they can reach a few folks, and I guess my main concern is I know that these same ministers that I'm harping on, they could reach so many more. They really could, because it's not like they don't know the word. It's not like they're not born again. They could reach so many more people. So many more people. But here's the thing. Since when do I need a leader to stand before me so I can pray and believe and stand for my country? When do I need a pastor to stand in front of me so I can pray? This is my point today. We see it over and over again how it was that God will subtract the numbers until he gets the exact people that he was looking for to carry out his plan. You know, we saw Gideon, his band of 300 men. We saw it with 120 in an upper room. So again, I say it doesn't take everybody, but it does take somebody. Will somebody stand up and say no? Will somebody dare to get right into the face of God and crawl up on his lap without having to go through God's personal secretary, a pastor, a bishop, an elder? Can we just go to the Father and talk minus some schedule and let me check my calendar and bank accounts? Can we just go today and say, look at me, Father. Look at me. Look at me, Father. I'm demanding change. I demand a change in the natural orders of this earth. If my people, see, it's conditional. It's conditional. Oh, God's in control. And if it was going to happen, he'll tell pastor and then we will. I'm not talking about anarchy in the church. The pastors can have it. That's their building. That's fine. I'm talking about if our leadership will not take up the cause, will you? Will you commit to pray outside of some scheduled event because the church leadership is silent here? If my people will, then I will. If we will, he will. And I just need some people today who will dare to enter that throne room of God boldly. Lay aside your life for one moment. Lay aside the program. See, that was the problem with all these in the temples. They had a program. They had a schedule. And Jesus came in and he messed it up. And because of that, people were made free. Jesus was always messing up the program with the miraculous. I've said this before, and I'm going to hit it again because it's the truth. We are so powerful. You and I are so powerful as individuals right here, right now. We are so mighty, and we have the ability to come and to grab the ear of God and look him right in the face and allow the negotiations to begin. What do I mean by negotiations? We're going to talk about that after the break. We have a window of opportunity with this next president to get some things done, friends. It's the 1412 Live right here on the 1412 Radio Network. I'll be right back.
The 1412 Live, where the Bible and the street meet. Are you ready to see what God is going to do in your life and in your community in 2017? Then you'll want to join Don Allen and Matt Davis of Two Guys and a Bible for the 3rd annual Winter Summit at Christ the Healer Studios in the Laurie Terrace Mall in Laurie, Missouri, located in the beautiful Lake of the Ozarks, Tuesday, January 3rd through Friday the 6th. Meetings are at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. daily. New this year are breakout sessions at 2 p.m. daily. Identity School with Dr. Glenn Hartline and a 4 p.m. breakout session. Christian Business Leadership with Tom Tompkins Jr. And the 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. meetings will be streamed live on the 1412 Radio Network. And all meetings will be live through streaming video. The 1412 Winter Summit also features Mike Bateman, Shy, Reverend Helen Lowry, Kirk DeMars, Pastors Mark and Kim Spellman, David Craig, and many more. The event is absolutely free, and discounted hotel accommodations are available at the Sleep Inn and Suites in Camdenton. Just tell them you're with Two Guys and a Bible. The 1412 Winter Summit, Tuesday, January 3rd through Friday the 6th at the Laurie Terrace Mall in Laurie, Missouri. This is 1412 Live, a program dedicated to giving you the unfiltered Word of God.
All right. Welcome back to the program. This is the 1412 Live on the 1412 Radio Network. Am I too harsh on pastors? I'm not asking you because I know what your answer is. Am I too harsh? Am I being too harsh? See, I'm an evangelist. Can I say this? Because this is the truth anyway. The office of the pastor has been taken and exalted to the point in the minds of many, and especially pastors, it's now the above office. It's the highest office in the land. Not the apostle, not the prophets, not the teacher, definitely not the evangelist. Pastors have taken on the role of the local pope. You don't question them. Don't question them. You don't challenge what they say. You don't try to step out and find God on your own because you're not smart enough to navigate this book by yourself. You just aren't smart enough. And if you have any thought that you may have heard from God and step out to do something, if it's not sanctioned by the Holy Church, I'm only saying this because I read this. A guy wrote a book, and it's really all the things that I've been trying to say. And again, The pastors have done this, but the people have allowed them. I love pastors and I appreciate pastors, and I don't want to be a pastor, by the way. That's something that you got to be called to do, man, because again, I've got pastors in my family, so I get it. But the rest of these offices just don't hold any weight in the eyes of the believing community anymore. All listed right there together. And that's the problem. Now we don't get to, when Jesus said, if you receive a prophet in the name of a prophet, you'll get the prophet's reward. We're not doing that. We're only listening to one man, pastors or women, pastors, and we don't respect the other gifts. We don't respect them. That's a problem. Guys, we got to allow the word of God to become the truth again. We really do. We're just subject to a few pastors that run the show now. We don't rely on the knowledge and the word from any other gifts. And so that being said, the evangelists aren't responsible for this. Prophets didn't get us in this mess. If the pastors want to be the Pope, then you better be ready to carry this all the way through. That's my point. So I go out and I see people all over the world in all kinds of settings, and the church isn't relating to reality. This is what I feel. You walk into a church service and it's like a bubble. Not all of them. I've been to some really good ones. And I know that behind the scenes, I understand that you want to say that you're reaching out to the community. You want to say you're doing those things. But when I walk into a church, I always try to look at it through the eyes of the outside world, and it's a bubble. It's a bubble. And now I believe the church should be notably different than the world. When you walk in, it should be totally different than the world. But at the same time, I think the church has to be relevant. You got to be relevant. Pastors, here they are. They're not the ruling, governing officials of the land, because I feel like a lot of them are just stuck in a bubble, and I'm sorry, but they are. And if you're a pastor listening to this, swallow hard and humble yourself for a minute, because I'm not worried about hurting your little feelings. People are dead and dying, and we are sitting here with all these people that are living their lives inside of the church walls, and it's like the Pope in the Vatican. Your perception is skewed at best of what's really taking place. All you can see is the Vatican walls. We're in a mess here because we've handed this over to the pastors who are struggling so badly. Now, let me talk about the people, because, again, I don't want to just jump on the pastors here. We've done it. We've done it. We've put them in a spot where they really can't win. The pastors can't win. We put them in a spot where we have placed so much responsibility and pressure on them. We have set pastors up to fail because we won't recognize the other gifts either. We've done this. We won't recognize what's on the inside of us even. So we place all this pressure on pastors. My whole family's made up of them, so I can say it. We place all this stuff on them, and they're just like, how am I gonna shift gears from going and meeting a family whose family member is dying in front of their eyes over here and dealing with somebody's kid who's looking at porn? Going over here, and this one doesn't have money to pay their light bill. The switching of gears here is just exhausting, I'm sure. But we've done that because we've placed all of this upon them. We've done it. And this is who we're relying on for wisdom and counsel, and to take up the causes of the real outside world. I'm not on a pastor bashing rant here because my whole family is full of them, but I've seen from the inside. My point is simply this. It's not to pull you away from them, but it's to get you to take up a cause for yourself outside the church agenda that's always clinging to looking outward, or claiming to looking outward, but always looking outward through the windows of the church, I guess. They're always claiming to be looking outward, but they're always looking outward through the window of the church instead of just being out there. Right? I know I'm hard on pastors. They need it. That's not my call. My call is to always awaken you. We need real people who are in real life situations to take up the cause. Now, listen, I don't expect my pastor to get out there and do this. I don't. I expect us to. They've got their hands full already. We have to pull back a little bit here. And again, it's not a lack of respect. It's not not respecting the office and the calling of the pastor. It's just that we've got to start recognizing and respecting the call that is upon you and upon others outside of that position. I think the American church has become very narrow-minded in this deal, and we just stare at one man on the stage. We got to be careful because, again, that man can have a bad day too. He can have a bad day. And so we got to be very careful. And as I mentioned before the break, we need some folks who will begin the negotiations with God. And I don't mean that like it sounds. I'm really talking about you daring to approach God as though he may actually listen to you. He might actually listen to you. If my people, he said, he didn't say if my pastors would humble themselves and pray, I'll do so. If my people, if someone will humble themselves and just come talk to me. I've had pastors tell me that some people that they've been dealing with are just lost causes. And it's because they've set themselves up again as the ultimate authority. And if I can't help them after all this time, they can't be helped. Is that right? And the danger comes in the people seeing these causes as seeing themselves as causes. They get shoved to the side by the leadership, and we never feel like we can do anything because we too have bought into that lie. It's a lost cause. No, it isn't. God is waiting for someone to come along and give a rat's again. He loves these people, and the only way things are going to ever change, I'm not relying on the church service to do that. I'm not relying on the pastors. It is on us, the individuals. In Genesis 18:20-32, we know that it talks about Sodom and Gomorrah. And I don't really want to read through the whole thing because we know how the story goes. But it does talk about because of the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah was great, and because their sin was very grave, God said, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against that has come unto me. And if not, I'll know. God's hearing the outcry of our communities. He's hearing the outcry of sin and all the filth and nasty things that are going on. And he's coming down to check to see if it's really true or not. And he said, I'll know. God's looking at the outcry of a nation. What will he hear? What is the sound coming from the earth today? What will be the sound tomorrow? Then the men turned away from there and went towards Sodom, and Abraham stood before the Lord, and Abraham came near and said, would you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? One man dared to just step up outside of the deal here and just say, wait a minute, Lord. Now, wait a minute. We can talk, right? Lord, you and I are close. I don't have to go through everybody else. One man decided, well, wait a minute now. Let me just talk to the Lord here because he'll listen to me. Friends, he'll listen to you. Would you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? See, this guy was concerned for everybody. He didn't want the wicked to be destroyed either. You understand that? God does not want the wicked destroyed. He loves them. He wishes all that would come to the saving knowledge of his son, Jesus. Suppose there were 50 righteous within the city. Would you destroy the place and not spare it for 50? If there were 50? Lord, far be it from you to do such a thing, slay the righteous with the wicked. Now, he's just saying this. You understand when the man's talking about this? He's not saying, well, Lord, if I can find 50 righteous, we'll all go hide in the church and you can kill everybody else. He's saying, if there's 50 righteous here, would you spare everybody? Everybody. Don't destroy us all. Would you destroy the place and not spare it if there were 50 righteous that were there? Far be it from you to do such a thing. Far be it from you. So you're not judge. Are you not the judge of all the earth and do right? So the Lord said, if I can find me 50, I won't do it. I'll spare it. And I love this because he said, well, hey, now listen, I'm dust and ashes here. I'm nobody, right? I'm just some guy here, Lord. But hey, what if there were 45, if there were 5 less? And what did the Lord say? I'm talking about negotiations. He said, I tell you what, I'll spare it for 45. How about 40? How about 40? Don't get mad with me now, Lord. How about 40? What if I found 30, Lord? Come on, Lord, listen, I've already talked to you. And so what if there was just 20? What if just 20, Lord? 20 righteous. And the Lord, listen, don't be angry with me. Well, what if there was just 10, Lord? If there were just 10, I won't destroy it for 10, he said. My point is this. It's not to speak judgment on the earth. Again, I'm wanting to draw your attention to why this place was going to receive judgment. God says he was going to come down and listen to what's going on. And one man steps up and begins to speak. One man intercedes for a wicked people. And it says this, that God did not destroy those cities because of what was there. God did not spare these cities because of their churches either. See, we know we have wickedness. We know we have adultery and murder and all of this. God didn't destroy it because of what he found that day. It was destroyed because of what was lacking that day. A remnant of just 10 righteous people is all he was looking for, and he couldn't find it. He couldn't find it. Because again, if you read this in context, he's talking about people being out mixed in with the wicked, not held up in some church somewhere. You can't destroy us all, Lord. What if there's 10 of us out here in the mix? And the Lord couldn't find 10. But I think we have a remnant listening today. And God was just saying, man, if I could just find me a home Bible study. If I could just find me a home Bible study, I'll spare the place. Why? Because those 10 could do more for that community than anybody could. If
you were wrong. You don't know us. You don't know us at all. But I love this because the nation was really fed up with the way things are going, and to come out hard against your own candidate and yet still vote for him says a bunch. And we're already seeing changes being made before he even steps into the White House.
And it's prayer, the prayer of the righteous. What's that prayer that we can pray that will release this? See, others are praying, but nothing's happening. Why? Well, 1 John 5:14 and 15, and this is the confidence, the assurance, the privilege of boldness which we have in him. We are sure that if we ask anything and make any request according to his will, in agreement with his own plan, he listens to and hears us. Here's who? The pastor? The corporate church? You can't get the church together on this. I wish they would, but no. So what then? We do it. And if, since we positively know that he listens to us in whatever we ask, we also know with settled and absolute knowledge that we have granted us as our present possessions the requests that we made of him according to his will. Of course we will. Not some if it be thy will prayer. We pray out of the abundance of knowledge of the word of God. This is why we get the wells filled and then the rivers of living waters come. The wells are full, but we need the river. We need a delivery system to this dry land. Out the fires, a river today, out of this place by these people that are listening today, who God has seen and said, because of their righteous prayers in accordance to my will, I have heard and I have answered, and I shall heal this land. It doesn't take everybody. It just takes somebody. That's my point today. Will you be a somebody? Will you rise up and take your position? The pastors, I'm wanting you to just try to see this, that we can do this on Monday and Tuesday, Thursday and Friday and Saturday, because you're not in your church on Sunday, maybe you're in there on Wednesday. We can do this on all these other days. We can do it. Don't be a Sabbath day saint. Don't just come. Jesus always came in and messed up that plan. We need a river today. And I love that here the devil, he had this man so bound up, and people had tried all these natural things with this man that was in the garden tombs. You remember that man? And I love this because, people tried all these different things to get that man free and nothing worked. The church and the leaders deemed him as a lost cause. He was a lost cause. Kind of like Angelique, the high witch. She was a lost cause to these people. They didn't want nothing to do with her. And these people were really just negotiating with the enemy. Man, we'll just tuck you up here and tuck you away up here. And then maybe you won't bother any of us and we won't bother you. And a few people would come and try to get him set free by natural things and do all this stuff. And it wasn't working. Jesus walked up, and here we see a whole legion of devils and one man. One man was able to torment a whole legion of devils and command them to go. And this man, see, it wasn't that he was even cooperating. He was possessed, but that didn't matter. Jesus had God-given power and authority. And guess what? So do you. We're under attack. Yes, it's always going to appear in a physical form, but we know that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the powers, the principalities, the mights, the dominions. There's a cause to take up today, friends, and it doesn't take a majority vote by the elders of the church to do it. That's the cool thing. You've already been told to do it. Jesus already voted, said do it. We know we still have over a month left with this current administration in office, and don't be fooled into thinking that Obama will not press everything through that he can, as fast as he can, and as quietly as he can. Pray. Pray. We cannot let down our guard now. Pray. Stop all the divisive talk against Trump, your next president. And to say that he isn't means that you're surrendering your citizenship or you're moving. That's it. Not my president. He is if you live in the United States. He is. Hello. Stop all that. Christians are still speaking out against him. Here we have a man in Texas who is a part of the electoral college vote. He's one of the votes for Texas, an elector. He resigned instead of casting his vote for Trump, even though Texas went to Trump, saying the electoral college is corrupted from its original intent. And you know, I don't mind a man standing up for his beliefs to see if he doesn't agree with Trump, but to use God, I can't stand that. He said voting for Trump would bring dishonor to God. Well, wait a minute. What about all you millions of evangelicals that voted? Is that how you feel? Did you just bring dishonor to God? This one man is going to stand up. This is the stuff that people hear. This is one man, but because he has a microphone, he can stand up and say, for me to do that would bring dishonor to God. Even though Trump wins Texas, this guy says he would not give Trump the elector vote. Out of good conscience, he questioned if it was acceptable. I love that this guy somehow now thinks himself as the authority on what's acceptable for believers to do in voting. He questioned if it was acceptable to vote for a man like Trump for president. He went on to say he didn't see how Donald Trump was biblically qualified to serve in the office of the presidency. Like who? Hillary? Is she biblically qualified? How about Stein or Johnson maybe? Maybe, I mean, hey, God made the herb, so it's okay to have a pot smoker biblically in the White House then with Johnson. He went on to say a whole bunch of other things that, again, somehow made him the expert on the whole deal, and he stepped down. This election is over, people. Suck it up. Suck it up and pray for your new president. That's what I've been told to do for the last 8 years. Suck it up and pray for him. Well, that's right. That's right. You ever heard of a man named David? King David? King. Not my king. Yes, he was. If you lived there, he was. The man who had another man killed so he could sleep with that man's wife. King David. Chose by God. King David. He wouldn't get your vote, would he? But he got God's vote. That man killed people, slept around, sinned, and got angry. Not my king. He was God's chosen because in the end, he would listen to God and do what God said. He had character flaws. God saw that under all that sin, action, and disobedience and outward character flaws was a heart that would listen to God. Maybe not follow the counsel of men, but he would follow God. Is that Trump? You don't like him? He's not the standard of believer like you, who said the president needed to be a Christian at all. I think God's looking at, who can I use? Would Hillary listen to God? No. Would Trump? Yeah, I believe he will. Even with all the things he's saying, I think in the end, this is somebody that God looked at and said, you know what? I can surround him with the right people, and I think I can get my word into him and have him help us out. I know people are worried about all the cabinet picks. Well, again, don't forget, you still got to pray. You still got to pray. If we will humble ourselves, pray, seek his face, turn from our wicked ways, God will hear us. He's going to heal this land. God bless you guys. We are out of time for today's program. I appreciate you all joining me today through Facebook Live. I know we had some issues on the webinar and YouTube Live, but we're back up and running there. Thank you for listening on the 1412 Radio Network today. Don't forget to go check out the book, 7 Days with the Witch, the Kickstarter campaign. You can go over to the Two Guys in the Bible Facebook page and find the all the information there to jump in and do that. And hey, don't you go anywhere just because we're leaving. Here in about 15 minutes, it's the Interpulpit Radio Blast with missionary pastor Rick Bell. And then at 1 p.m. today, it's the Mad Christian Radio. And if you didn't notice, we've started Christmas music. Christmas music. We started our Christmas music. So, hey, you get to listen to Christmas music. So, hey, we're going to be adding a whole bunch to that. But, hey, don't you go anywhere. You stick around here. I got to go. Bless you all. Thank you for listening.
You've been listening to the 1412 Live. Join us next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on the only station helping you to do the works and greater works, the 1412 Radio Network. Thanks for listening.